Good evening, brethren. It is late Saturday evening, and we were impressed to put on a video tonight talking more about the 24,000 theory from Lennox Sam. Many of you are aware of his teaching that supposedly there's going to be two purifications. The first one is going to be to Davidians, and that's going to produce the 24,000. And then the 24,000 are going to be unified in one accord and go forth and bring in the rest of the 144,000. So this teaching is very, very controversial. And we needed, as servants of the true and only one and only shepherd's rod, to sound the alarm. And we put a short video together tonight to expose very clearly why this 24,000 teaching is not in accordance to the Lord's shepherd's rod. So we hope you're blessed, and you pray, as we did, to ask for the Spirit of truth to guide you into all truth, and the Lord will be faithful. So let us begin. First, we're going to begin with the actual words from Sam, and you're going to hear firsthand what he teaches in regards to the 24,000. It's a short clip, but you'll get the general clear idea.
It's just like they will tell you there's no such thing as 24,000. Well, my dearly beloved, if the rod says 12,000 out of each tribe, and we're two tribes, why does it need to say 24,000? Aren't you a little child can come up with that?
Yes.
A little child. So why is it, as a Davidian, supposedly a mature Christian, you can't understand something that's simple? Why? Because they're listening to men and not listening to the voice of God. It's just like they will tell you.
Okay, so there you heard from Sam's voice that there's going to be two tribes from the Davidians that are going to produce the 24,000. So what we've done is we've also compared that understanding, or that construction, as it were, compared to what Bro Davin's going to bring us now on the understanding, is there just two tribes among Davidians today? Well, let's take a look.
It is imperative, therefore, that every present truth believer teach and practice only present truth. We have to teach the rod itself and not try to make something out of the rod that it's not saying or teaching. All right, let's go into the 24,000 theory. Question: is the Vanguard from strictly the tribes of Judah and Benjamin, consisting of 24,000 Davidians? All right. Well, guess what? The standard for the doctrine is that it has to harmonize with everything. Reading from track 6, page 75 and 76, going to the end of the reference. For if one's interpretation of the scriptures is not supported by every sentence of Holy Writ, it is a fallacious interpretation. A blind conclusion without Bible foundation. Now, the statement in Leviticus page 3, which says that the Vanguard is from among the present-day descendants of those Jews who composed the early Christian church, is perverted and taken to an extreme to say that, well, the descendants of the early Christian church were only from the tribe of Judah and Benjamin, and therefore the people who are in the Vanguard are only from Judah and Benjamin. But we're going to see that it was not only the tribe of Judah and Benjamin that were in the early Christian church, despite the fact that they were the descendants of the kingdom of Judah. The 10 tribes, we're reading from track 14, the 10 tribes were by ancient Assyria dispersed throughout the cities of the Medes and assimilated by the Gentiles of that day. But it was not until years later that the 2 tribes, the kingdom of Judah, were carried into Babylon, remaining there until the expiration of the 70 years of Jeremiah's prophecy, then returning to their homeland. So that's the history of those 2 tribes, 2 kingdoms. Thus it was only the descendants of the kingdom of Judah who became so unfaithful that they rejected and crucified the Lord. So you have only the descendants of the kingdom of Judah who were there at the time of the crucifixion of Christ, at the first advent of Christ. But importantly, these are the ones who are the parents in Leviticus page 3. It's because it says plainly, but the faithful from among them accepted him and became the Christians and founding members of the New Testament church. The church herself, therefore, and it's talking about the Adventist church, is the daughter of the kingdom of Judah, because this is talking about Nahum 1:15, O Judah, keep your solemn feast. Hence, she is appropriately still called Judah. Now, that's the church in general, but specifically in the application of the verse, it's talking about the Seventh-day Adventist church. Now, why is this important to us? Because the 144,000 come from the Adventist church, which is the daughter of the kingdom of Judah. And this is makes it plain that this is referring to the Adventist church only as they awake and give heed to the voice of the true witness. That's the Laodicean message. O Judah, keep thy solemn feast. So this is the message that's coming to the church right now, who's the daughter of Judah. Specifically, the prophet exhorts all penitently to turn to the house of Judah, the church in the purification of which are to be sealed 12,000 out of each of the 12 tribes. Now, you have all 12 tribes in the church, and the church's parental lineage is the kingdom of Judah. So how, if it was only Judah and Benjamin in the kingdom of Judah, how could they have 12 tribes in the daughter of Judah? That doesn't make sense. The reason why that the daughter of Judah has 12 tribes is because the kingdom of Judah had 12 tribes in there. And the 10 tribes are not accounted for in this prophecy, in this part of the prophecy. They're not accounted for. So obviously, some of the descendants of the 12 tribes had to be in the kingdom of Judah. And that makes sense because they intermingled. They were not just completely separate like that. When does that ever happen? That never happens. Right. And the priests are from the tribe of Levi. So is John the Baptist. Alrighty. We're going to find out that this idea of Davidians being the tribe of Judah and Benjamin exclusively is false. Because what you have is Judah and Benjamin who are in the second fruits too. So I don't know if this is a point that they actually bring out, that they're gonna restrict the Judah and Benjamin to only the first fruits, but that's not true either. And we just want to establish the fact that the tribes are all over the place. It's not just cut and limited like that. The 144,000 descendants of Jacob, this is 1TG 15, page 10, are the first fruits, the first to be gathered unto Judah. They are those who stand on Mount Zion with the Lamb. The faithful descendants of the Jews who composed the early Christian church, right? These are faithful descendants, and who also lost their national identity by naming themselves Christians, are also to be gathered from everywhere and brought unto Judah. You see? So after the descendants of Jacob are gathered unto Judah, you have more people being gathered unto Judah from the descendants of the early Christian church. So you're gonna have more Judah and Benjamin out there too. And it's plain that all 12 tribes are in the second fruits. This is a teaching of the rod. It's not just Jews first and then the Gentiles. All 12 tribes are in the second fruits. And when they come to the kingdom, they're gonna go to their allotted places. Here you see that not only will God cleanse his church, Judah and Israel, by taking away all those who pollute his house of prayer, but that afterwards he will gather into his purified church all the dispersed who have descended from both the kingdom of Israel and the kingdom of Judah, all who are now out among the nations, not in the church of the Laodiceans. These people, these descendants of the 12 tribes, are lost among the nations, and they're not in the church of the Laodiceans. All 12 tribes are out there. It is a
Okay, brother. So you've heard the very excellent explanation by Brother Davin that clears up the matter. And so what are we to conclude here? Well, in our summary, this is a perfect example of what 1 Timothy 4:1 says. Now the Spirit speaketh expressly that in the latter times some shall depart from the faith, giving heed to seducing spirits and doctrines of devils. So that's what we have, brethren, and we need to wake up. This Lennox Sam is speaking doctrines of devils. He's speaking lies, and those that fall for them better take heed, because, as you know, the rod says all other voices will lead into perdition. And that is exactly what's happening in this situation in regards to his teaching. Of course, we have the very well-known Symbolic Code, Volume 3, number 56, page 14. Teachers of present truth having before them the example of tragic results caused by conflicting teachings by the SDA ministry, and, in addition to this, having been repeatedly warned to teach only that which has been revealed and published, stand in great condemnation before God when they set forth conflicting or unauthorized views on any subject. Be absolutely certain that you are teaching according to that which is written, and not according to that which you may think should be or will someday be written. Failure to comply with this requirement will disqualify anyone as a worker in this cause. So we can clearly see that this is a serious doctrinal error that should disqualify Lennox Sam from being a teacher of this message. And all those that want the truth have just now seen an example of one startling theory that is proven to be tremendously false, brethren. So be aware that Satan is working very sneaky right now through these servants, and we have to be aware because the time is at hand and the war is getting very close to beginning, and we have to be prepared. So we hope you've been blessed with this short video, and may the Lord continue to guide you into all truth. And until next time, may God bless.